Hi guys, it's Professor Fernandez. I'm here to show you how to write an email or a letter for your mentor. I know that this is going to be something that for some of you is going to be a little bit out of your comfort zone. And that's kind of what this next set of weeks is about, right? To get a little bit out of your comfort zone, to find some guidance in what you want to do. Now, perhaps in this module, if not probably in future modules, or if we've already talked about it, we discussed a little bit on how to decide or what to look for in a mentor. There's more than one way to look for a mentor, and there's more than one type of mentor to look for. Sometimes when you think about mentor, the idea of someone in your professional field comes to mind. And that's kind of what most people lean toward. They lean towards somebody who has already been down the path that they've been or a similar path, and they look to see how they did it. More than likely, you probably have someone in mind, and maybe someone you have access to, or someone you don't have access to. Maybe someone who is so above in your field of professionalism. They're probably in a Fortune 500 company or super popular on social media or have their own business that you may think that they're out of reach. So that's one type of mentor. Another type of mentor is mentors who you see are kind of doing things that you would like to do, maybe personally. I can imagine there would be like parents looking at other parents, seeing how maybe other parents live their lives. Maybe other parents look like they have things in order, or they're a little bit more organized than you, and you're wanting to kind of ask them questions. How do you do this, right? That's another type of mentorship. And then, of course, you have another type of mentorship where maybe you don't know what you're going to do for the rest of your life, right? That's kind of a big thing to think about so early. You just have a kind of a quasi idea, right? But you're not quite sure. Maybe you're kind of not quite sure about college and how it still functions. And so you may want to look for someone who's a little bit older than you, maybe a professor or an advisor or someone else who has done the college thing before, and can give you some mentoring that way. So there's more than one type of mentor. I don't want you to be locked into what you think a mentor is. I want you to find a mentor for an area of your life that you want to do well in, right? Because we're talking about success, and success comes in many different shades. It's not everybody can be Tony Stark. Okay. So we're going to talk about how to ask these people, these beautiful people, for permission to kind of ask them about their lives. And so what I'm going to do is show you how to do this. I'm going to show you how to write a professional esque email, not so super professional that you're asking for a job, but not so informal that you are using slang to approach someone, right? So I'm going to teach you how to write this email slash letter. I'm old enough to remember how to write letters, and having letter writing as part of what I had to learn in elementary school. I had a pen pal, so I had to learn how to write letters. This is before email, before your time. I'm dating myself, but that's okay. All right, so I'm going to share the screen here. And what we're going to do is that we're going to pre-write this before this goes into the body of any email, right? So you kind of need to do this, even with your discussion boards, you kind of want to do this. I know it's kind of in the middle of the semester and you've just kind of just been writing them as you go along, and that's perfectly fine. But I find it better to write things out in a Word document or in somewhere separate, write it out, have it sit for a little bit, come back to it the next day or in a couple hours later and read it again. Just because I want to make sure that the words I put down and the words that I write to people are understood. Where there's usually so much confusion, and when I get a lot of questions from, say, students or from colleagues is when I have to write something very, very quickly, and I have to send it, and then I get 20 questions because I didn't get a chance to sit and think about how I would answer questions, right? Right. So let's get started. So you're always going to start an email to your mentor or to someone where you want to be a bit more professional, especially with your professor, with a salutation. And salutation is not, hey, what's up? Hi. Like it's very somewhat formal. So you want to write the word dear, and let's say Joan Smith is someone you want to mentor you. So what you want to do is write, dear Miss Smith. Now, there's a couple of things I want to say about the salutation here. One, if you're asking someone like you know them personally, and you've talked to them more than a couple of times, and they've given you permission to use their first name, go ahead and write their first name, right? You're maybe you're on a one-on-one basis, maybe they just know you from wherever they know you. It's quite all right to use their first name because they've given you permission to do so, and you're on that level of relationship with them. Where you don't use their first name, where you use their last name, is when you've never met them at all, or you want to show a sign of respect. For example, when you email your professor, whether it be me, whether it be your history professor, your math professor, you're never going to call them by their first name, ever. We have to put our first names on things, right? But you're never going to call me by my first name. You're never going to call your history professor by their first name. You're going to say Professor such and such, right? It's the same here. Miss Smith. Of course, if they're married, there's all these title things. If they're married, or if they're a little bit older, it's MRS. If they're a little bit younger or not married, it's MS. Do not complain to me about how this is so like antiquated. Yes, I agree with you. It's antiquated, but also it's what we have in the form of communication and the form of respect as well. So whenever the world decides how else they want to address people in a respective way, I will cover that in a video. But as of right now, this is what we're doing. All right, we also want to put dear such and such. What we don't want to do is just write a name, right? We don't want to say Miss Smith, comma, Joan, comma, because again, this is written communication. And as you've probably realized with your essays and some feedback with your essays is that how you talk is not how you write. Why is that? Because you don't have tone here, right? One of the many reasons, but you don't have tone. So the person who is getting the communication is going to read it in whatever tone that they're in, right? And so what you have to do as someone who's giving the communication is to try to safeguard against it. Sometimes you'll be successful, other times you will not. Here's how you can be successful here. If you just wrote this like this is like calling somebody out. This is something that I would write to someone who I'm angry at, or I want to give a very direct direction to, and I'm very stern about it, right? It's not someone who I am asking for a favor. So to soften this, you're going to write dear, right? Dear has many connotations. There's like an old school story about dear and how that came to be and how that's changed to the lexicon of the English language. That is not this video. If you are interested in that, you're welcome to email me, and I have all the stories about the word dear. Okay, so dear Miss Smith, this is called the salutation. You are saying hello. Then what you want to do is right under there, like you want to hit twice, right? And you're going to introduce yourself, and you're going to introduce yourself and add some context. And what that means is you're going to say kind of who you are, where you're from, right? And then kind of why you're writing this thing. All right. So you have, dear Miss Smith, let's say your name is Tony Stark. I'm in a Marvel kick today. My name is Tony Stark, and I am a student at Lone Star College. All right, so there you go. You're introducing yourself and you're saying where you're from. And so again, this is communication, right? If I am receiving this, I'm on the receiving end of this email, I know, oh, okay, I'm talking to a college student. I'm not talking to someone who's looking for a job. I'm not talking to somebody who is just like fishing around for whatever. I'm actually talking to a college student. So if I'm Mrs. Smith or Miss Smith, I would say, okay, so I am in the mind frame of hopefully helping this college student because they're about to ask me for something, but it's something probably related to class. Automatically, you're not going to say it's related to class. I mean, you could if you wanted to, but automatically, I see college. I'm like, okay, there's a class assignment, right? I have admired how you have grown your business from scratch and wish to do the same one day. Okay, so here is where you do a little bit of an ego stroke, right? Again, you want to be very polite and very respectful of the person who you're going to ask this favor from, but you're going to have to do a little bit of ego stroking. And it's not so much ego stroking, I would say. I would say pretty much you doing your due diligence, right? There's a reason you're asking this person for a favor and the delight of sitting down with them and asking them questions. There's something about their story and their delight or their experience that's delightful. And you kind of want to know a little bit about that. I've admired this and I want to do this myself one day. I have been interested in and I'm going to misspell this word because this is a hard word to spell. Entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship. See, can't spell it. It's a hard word to spell entrepreneurship. It's high school. And your success has inspired me, right? So here, this particular sentence gives a little bit more, right? And in fact, you can actually switch these sentences and it will have a better flow. Of course, I'm writing off the top of my head, so I don't have the luxury of having pre-edited this for the video. But if I had to edit at this moment, I would have put this sentence here. I think it just flows better. I have been interested in entrepreneurship since high school, and your success has inspired me. I have admired how you have grown your business from scratch and wish to do the same one day. Right? See how that flows a little bit better? Just editing, revising is amazing, right? So you've stroked the ego, you've kind of told them why you're sending them this email, you're telling them about themselves, which tells the person who's receiving this email that you've done a little bit of your homework, right? You're not just doing this because, oh, you have an assignment, so it's whatever. The person who's receiving this email is thinking, oh, they've really done their homework. If they've invested time in learning about me, I'm going to invest time in them. And that's kind of where you want to go. Then you may want to do like a second paragraph here. I would love to discuss your success. I'm going to write this next line and then I'm going to discuss this, okay? Okay, so let's talk about what I just wrote here. All right, so you've done this wonderful thing in the salutation and the introduction of this email. And then you want to talk about the actual thing you want to talk about. You want to sit down with them and talk with them for 30 minutes, right? And so you tell them, you tell them here in this particular line, a couple of things. How long they need to look for in their diary or in their time, in their time management or in their calendar to talk to you what it is about. Okay. You want to talk about their success and their accomplishments, kind of like how they got to be who they got to be, and 30 minutes. Now, what this sentence does is kind of acknowledge that, yes, I know I'm at the mercy of you, person who is amazing and awesome and whom I want to learn from. And I know that you may not have 30 minutes available. Do you have 15? Okay. And the reason why you want to do this is you want to give them like a clue to say, yeah, I know this may be a big ask, but if you had 15, that's fine. And two, they know that you're serious, right? They know that like this is not just whatever, I have to do this for class. Like you're really trying to put some work in here. There's some things I would tweak with this. Would you have 30 minutes to talk with me over coffee? The assignment sheet talks about being safe, right? And I, again, because of the pandemic, because of the state of the world, I would prefer you do this on Zoom or WebEx or something like that, where you can still have a conversation, but you're safe, right? And so that's what I would prefer. If that is something that interests you, please email me, let me know, and I can help you set that up if you don't have Zoom or something. Another thing that that this sentence does, meet over coffee, right? And so coffee is one of those non-committal things, right? Like, let's have a conversation over coffee, because you can drink coffee in like 5 minutes or you can drink coffee in an hour. It's just one of those non-committal things. And so what you want to do is if you're going to do coffee is also in a public place, right? Starbucks, everybody goes to Starbucks, or supposedly, if there's a Starbucks you can go into at this point in the pandemic, or wherever, it's a public place. And so that's a little bit safer as well. Don't forget to put your mask on. Also, just as an aside, just as kind of an etiquette type of thing, if you want to talk to somebody over coffee, that means you're paying for coffee. So keep that in mind. If you don't want to pay for coffee or can't pay for coffee, then don't write that in, right? You can also be more specific. You can say Zoom call or even a phone call. I know certain generations don't use phones. They only use phones for texts. I would not text with your mentor. Or email your mentor. I would Zoom call or phone call, because the nonverbal communication is a little bit better. Again, email me about that, how nonverbal communication works and how like things get misconstrued in text. Okay. All right. So those are some things you can tweak with that. And so you have all this nice and set up, and now you've got to exit. Now you've got to be like, all right, mic drop, I'm walking off the stage, right? And so look forward to your answer and hope to have a conversation with you soon. Thank you. Okay, so let's talk about what I just did here. Okay, so what you did here is after you've asked them the questions, you write kind of like how you're looking forward to talking to them, looking forward to have a conversation. You're ending it in a positive, upbeat note. Then you're going to thank them, because even if they say no, they took some time out of their day to read this email, right? So you're going to say thank you and then sign your name, your full name right under that. Okay. And that's your email right there. That's your, if you want to literally take this and tweak it, you can. Here's some things you can also add. If you feel like you need to explain kind of the assignment, you can. You say for English class, we are studying how to be successful. One of the assignments. There. That adds a little bit more context here. So this line says, for English class, I'm sorry, this is a comma. Ooh, English professor. For English class, we're studying how to be successful. One of the assignments, one of the assignments we are doing now is to talk to a person we think is successful and ask them about their success. All right. So that gives a little bit more context to the assignment. And you can add these sentences as well if you feel, based on kind of where you want to be with your particular mentor. If you want to give them this context, go ahead and give them this context. And so they know a little bit that, okay, this is an actual assignment, blah, 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 right? This is a pretty solid email. So what you want to do is write this email, maybe sit on it, not for long, because you don't have long to do this. You only have a couple of weeks to get this done because you have to write a summary at the end, but maybe sit on it for a day. Of course, turn it in because you have to turn it in. It's for a grade. And then don't wait for me to give you feedback on this letter. Go ahead and ship it out, right? Go ahead and ship it out. Make sure you do a couple things. Run it through Grammarly. Get someone else to read it through to make sure that things are spelled correctly, the commas are in the right place. You can take it to the writing lab and they can look at it for you. I'm going to try to look through these very quickly, but again, I have several sections of this class. And so 25 times the several sections, I have at least 75 to 100 of these things to look at. So I'm going to try to get through them very quickly, but don't wait. If you haven't heard back from me after the end of the module, if you haven't heard back from me in like a day or two, ship it out because you don't really have a lot of time. Okay, so let's talk a little bit here about kind of what you may expect the next step of this. So one thing that you may expect is that you could get an email that says, sure, how's next week sound? And all this wonderful stuff, right? And you go back and forth and you decide on the time and you do it and it's wonderful, right? You may get a flat out no, or you just may not hear back from them. That may happen. By emailing, you did the best you can. You can do a couple things at this point. You can, if you haven't heard from the mentor, you can follow up with a phone call. Don't do another email, because if they didn't get the first one, they probably won't get the second one. Or if they didn't respond to the first one, they may or may not respond to the second one. And a phone call kind of puts a little rush order to it, puts a little pressure to it. Again, you don't have you have a couple of weeks, but the couple of weeks are going to go quickly because you still have to write a summary for this, right? So, and you still have to put it in your portfolio. So I would call and just check in. At that point, you may go ahead and get the flat no, or at that point they may say, I'm so sorry, I was so busy. Yes, like what time is good for you, right? So a couple things will happen. Here are my suggestions. Okay, take it for what it is. I would actually write to people. Let me tell you why. Because if one doesn't come through, hopefully the second one will. Because at the end of the day, you still have to write a summary about this meeting. At the end of the day, it still has to go in your portfolio. So safeguard against that. I would pick 2, maybe even possibly 3. I would go 2 for a while, for a little bit, and maybe the third one if you don't hear from the other 2. And so you're probably thinking, so what happens if they both say yes? Well, that's awesome. That's completely awesome. You only need to pick one of those people to write the summary about, but you can put them both in your portfolio. So let me say this again. You only need to pick one of those mentors to write the summary assignment for. But both of those, what you learn from both of those mentors can go in your portfolio. Okay. So if you get them both, that's even better, because that means your portfolio is even that much better. You can pick a couple different ways. You can do the big person, like the big cheese, right? Maybe like somebody like Lovia Ajayi, right? Lovia Ajayi, entrepreneur, writer, public speaker. Maybe there's something about her that you're like, man, I want to know her story, and I think she's awesome, right? And you're just like, I'm going to shoot my shot. Shoot your shot. You don't know. She may say yes. Somebody like Barack Obama, right? Shoot your shot. Maybe he's like the third person. You don't know. He may say yes. I mean, he may not say yes in time for the summary. He may say yes in time for the portfolio, or he just may flat out say, no, I don't have any time, right? You don't know. And so if you're admiring a big time person like that, and you happen to be able to like send an email, maybe through their representative, shoot your shot. However, keep in mind, you still have to do that summary. So you may want to pick someone else just in case, right? But if they come through, they come through. You never know. You never know. The world is weird right now. So whatever, right? Let's see what happens. So that's pretty much how to write this thing. I know I've talked a lot to write a simple email, but I wanted to make sure that you had like the basics and the foundations to write a very good, professional, simple email. Be respectful, please. These folks don't have to do this. So if you're respectful from the beginning and do your homework, they're more, the chances of them saying yes, it goes up. Okay. Good luck. Let me know. Oh, excuse me. Let me know if you need any help, and I will see you soon. Bye, guys.